This is a really good topic, and I want to say that I believe that John chapter 3 is one of the most Bible chopped passages, um, manipulated and so forth. When Nicodemus, he's a master of Israel, and Jesus is talking to him, and this is something that's really important. It's like, how can you be a master of Israel and not know this stuff, right? And if you look at the passage, Jesus is referring, I don't have it in front of me right now, but he's referring to the time that their serpents were in the wilderness because the people were stubborn in Israel, Egypt. They came out of Egypt. They were stubborn in the wilderness, and they wanted to have their own way. So God sent them temporary affliction that would kill them, the serpents. He sent them the serpents, and they would bite their feet. And you'll notice later Jesus says, we'll tread on serpents, in the authority of Jesus Christ. And we'll trample them under feet and so forth. But listen, when these guys, they got bit by serpents, they had to look at the serpent on the stick that Moses had made. And, Jesus was lifted up on the cross, in like manner. So they have to look to Jesus. Now, why? Let's think about that a little bit more deeply and how it references to being born again. Okay? In our carnal ways, we want to go to doctors. We want to go to the worldly solutions to find what solves this snake biting on our feet. But Jesus says that we shall have authority to tread on serpents and scorpions and so forth. So now, back in Moses' day, when they got bit by the serpents, he said, look, you've got to believe this information here. I'm giving you some information. And it wasn't the mere acquiescing or intellectual assent. They actually followed through. And they looked at the serpent on the pole. This is where we get the medical symbol, by the way, the serpent on the pole. And they were healed. Now, if they didn't, right, they could die. So this is where I get the word, the word so in John 3:16 means in like manner. It means in like manner. So, but we say, for God so loved the world, right? But it means in like manner, just like they were looking at the serpent on the pole. For the word, the passage John 3:16 begins for, which means it's a continuation of thought there. And then pisteuo, which is the Greek for believe, means good morning. It means merely, it does not, if you look at the Vine's definition, it means more than credence. It means reliance upon. So if we rely upon the fact that Jesus will save us, just as we looked at the serpent on the pole. Now, what can we learn from that? Well, we are a new creation. The fruit is that we are now looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, when we run into problems. That's the fruit of our new nature. Now, when I was born again, I was in church for a long time, and I was a hypocrite, all that. All that. But when I got born again, I was a new creature. Things were different. And there's like several passages. There's two famous ones. One's in Ezekiel, one's in Jeremiah. I will create a new heart in them, and I'll put my spirit in them. I hadn't had my coffee yet, but I get it confused with that Psalm passage, create in me a clean heart and renew the right spirit within me. You'll notice in all these passages, there's heart and spirit. When King Saul, when God put in him a new heart, he also began to prophesy from the spirit. Now I thought, man, it's interesting how these hearts and spirits are mentioned when people are transformed. Jeremiah says, I think I will write my laws on their heart, So, and in Johnny mentioned Corinthians, we are a new creation. We no longer look to the things of the world. The fruit that we bear shows our internal character change. Now, most people will say, and this is where I take the pet peeve with the Bible topic, they say all you have to do is confess Jesus is Lord. Well, when Paul was writing that, you had to call Caesar Lord once a year, or they'd kill you. You know, so they would confess Jesus. That's why they were fed to the lions and so forth. But even the demons believe, then they fear and tremble, but they're not changed. They're not a new creation. There's a new creation that happens when you're born again. And anyway, that's something that needs to kind of be understood, because if we don't see the fruit in our own lives, then there's a problem. You know, if we don't desire, Latin, of the Father. You know, here's another thing. Okay, guys, check it out in John chapter 8. It says somewhere, those Jews that believed on him. Well, check it out. They believed Jesus. And then he says, you're of your father, the devil, to the same Jews. They said, you know, you're a Samaritan that has a demon or whatever. And they kept saying, oh, Abraham is our father. Well, they're claiming things. They're claiming that Abraham, he says, well, if Abraham were your father, you wouldn't seek to kill me. You remember that passage? Well, check it out. He's talking to Jews that believed him. Okay, but their fruit was not that they were the spiritual seed of Abraham. And I believe that's really important. People need to understand. You can believe Jesus and your father can, in this instance, you can believe Jesus and your father can be the devil, right? So not a popular teaching. I don't think it's taught at all, but there it is. There it is right there in Scripture. Anyway, it's a really good conversation. And that's the reason I asked the questions on there. I'm trying to get people to dig a little deeper and go a little higher, but I'm glad Johnny posted that. God bless you guys.